Oh, shucks.
Hook, those are some starchy clothes you got there. You think you're some good deal of a big bug, huh?
Maybe I am and maybe I ain't.
Don't give me none of your lip. I hears you educated now. Can't read and write. You think you're better than your old man? 'Cause you ain't. I'll take it out on you. And look at here. You drop that school you hear. I'll learn better to bring up a boy who put ears over his own father and let him be better than his. None of your family ever read or write nothing, and you won't either. Say, let me hear you read, Hook.
Afraid nobody'll hurt you.
So it's so. You can do it. Well, stop, Hook. I won't have it. If I catch you around that school, I'll tan you good. I ain't ever seen such a son. What's this?
Something they give me for learning my lessons good.
Well, let me teach you a lesson. I'll give you something better. A cowhide and looky all your frizz while your old man sleeps with the hogs. And they say you are rich. How's that?
They lie. I ain't rich.
Mind how you talk, boy. Don't give me none of your sass. I've been in town 2 days, and all I hear is you rich. That's why I come. You get me that money tomorrow, Hook. I want it.
I ain't got no money, you drunk.
It's a lie. Judge Thatcher's got it. You get it, I want it, boy.
I ain't got no money. Ask him yourself.
All right, I'll ask him. Say how much you got in your pocket. I want it.
I ain't got only $1, and I want that. So
Don't make no difference what you want it for. Shell it out, boy.
Jesus! Goddamn, Huckleberry Finn, is that you?
Jim, we got to go. We got to go now, Jim. We on a mission.
Take a chair.
Thanks, ma'am.
What might your name be?
Sarah Williams.
Where's about do you live? In this neighborhood?
No, ma'am. I'm in Hookerville, about 7 miles below. I've walked all the way. I'm all tired out.
Hungry too, I reckon. I'll find you something.
No, ma'am. I ain't hungry. I was so hungry I had to stop 2 miles below at a farm. So I ain't hungry no more. But it's what makes me so late, you see. My mother's awful sick. She's got no money neither. and I come to tell my uncle, Abner Moore. He lives in the upper end of town. I've never been there before. Don't suppose you know him, do you?
No, but I don't know everybody yet. I haven't lived here quite 2 weeks. It's a long ways to the upper end of town. You better stay here all night. Take off your bonnet.
No, ma'am. I reckon I'll just rest a while and then go on. I ain't scared of no dark.
Well, my husband be along by and by, and I'll send him with you.
Why, thank you, ma'am.
It's no trouble. My husband, he's a wonderful feller. Smart as owls, too. I met him years ago back then. And then I'll be hearing all this trouble with Huck Finn. People say he's murdered.
Who done it?
Well, some thinks old Finn done it himself.
No. Is that so?
Why, most everybody thought at first, almost got lynched. Then they turned around and judged it was a runaway Negro called Jim.
Why,
Yep, he run out right after Huck was killed. So there's a reward for him, $300 and $200 for old Finn.
Does most everybody think the Negro done it?
Oh no, not everybody, but a good many. They'll catch him pretty soon though, and maybe they can scare it out of him.
They after him yet?
Well, $300 doesn't lay around for any old person to pick up any day.
I guess it don't.
What'd you say your name was again?
Mary Williams.
Funny, I thought you said Sarah.
Yes, ma'am. Sarah Mary Williams. Some folks call me Mary.
Oh, is that so? Well, I have a mighty darn rat problem here, and the only way to get rid of them is to throw things at them. Oh, it hurt my arm awful. Why don't you give it a try?
I suppose so.
Now you couldn't throw like a lady even if you was one.
Hello, my name is Monica Prado, reporting live from the depths of the Mississippi. Today, I'm going to explain to you how slavery is satirized in the scene of Mrs. Loftus and Jim. In the scene, Jim, the runaway slave, is being portrayed as an outlaw and a murderer simply because he made an attempt to escape the harsh realities of slavery. He decided to run away, as many slaves at the time did, because his owner was threatening to sell him to the South, where slaves were treated far more worse than in the North. Slaves had to endure physical and mental abuse. Some devices that Twain uses to depict slavery in the scene are derision, stereotyping, and cosmic irony. Derision is used when Mrs. Loftus is telling Huck about how she believes Jim is the culprit for Huck's supposed death and deserves to be caught. She has no respect for Jim and then stereotypes him as a common slave with violent tendencies and who doesn't deserve the right of freedom. Twain also utilizes cosmic irony in this scene. Mrs. Loftus tells Huck that Jim ran away as an ungrateful slave and a murderer, while we know the truth about Jim's story. Jim simply ran away to be free, to have a better life. Sadly, at the time period, Jim's only fate was to be a slave, no matter where he ran. Twain's purpose in satirizing slavery is to show that it was a huge aspect in American history. Also, he wanted to show how inhumane the society of the time was to their slaves. The harsh truth is that slaves were not considered as people, but property. This has been Monica Prado. Back to you in the studio.
Pseudo-intellectualism is a characteristic gained once one tries to fool another into thinking that they are intelligent. This, however, in many cases backfires, meaning the person who is being played may discover the stupidity that really lies underneath that poor act of intellect. Now, why, may you ask, would a person try to be more intelligent than they really are? For 3 reasons in particular: to make an impression, to avoid embarrassment, or to gain needed information. In the reenactment of chapters 5 and 6, Huck displays the sly acting skills to find out what the situation really is in town. Mark Twain, author of Huckleberry Finn, used the device of dramatic irony in that the reader knows that Huck is really a boy acting as a girl. Huckleberry's innocence displays that children have a slim chance in fooling an adult. His disguise as a girl does not work out because he hardly knows how girls act, and thus attempts to fabricate actions of a girl. This act is absurd and shows naivety that Huck still possesses. Huck's character and wit get him into more trouble and lead to his embarrassment and the discovery of the truth. Mrs. Loftus knows that a boy is present, and Huck, as a pseudo-intellectualist, is uncovered. Thank you. Back to you, Megan.
Greed plays a major role in this novel, along with everyday life. It is present in many scenes in Mark Twain's novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, such as how the king and the duke selfishly want all of Peter Wilkes' money and are willing to cheat and lie to obtain it. Or in the scene my group chose, in which Pop lusts over the $6,000 that belongs to Huck. Greed is present in every human being. Length in which greed extends is where it varies. Twain uses satire to further illustrate the dark truth about human nature and greed. Twain utilizes the satirical device of pathos to reveal what greed can truly bring out of the individual. This self-centeredness consumes one mentally, driving one to forget all morals and values. Greed evokes the common phrase, the green monster, and draws forth the ugly qualities associated with greed. Lying, cheating, and false impressions are uncovered when power or money is blatantly blazoned in front of an ordinary individual. Twain's purpose is to show that everyday humans will do for what they desire. His purpose is to illustrate that even Pop, Huck's father, is willing to cheat and steal to get a hold of money that will better his son's future so he can get drunk. He is trying to show the ultimate lows that human society will sink to. The significance of the characterization is to show who Pop truly is. He is described in the novel to be a dirty, cheating, uneducated man who thinks he knows what's best for his son, but truly is blind to it all. He does not want Huck to receive an education so he won't become superior to him. When he finds out Huck has $6,000, he instantaneously craves it. He wants the money for a useless purpose of getting drunk. Pap loses all sense of any morals, not that he had any in the first place, and is even willing to confront Judge Thatcher to acquire it. Also, the dialogue in this scene further emphasizes his lack of knowledge. Twain also uses repetition to demonstrate how truly greedy Pop is. Pop says several times, "I want it, I want it, I want it." Lastly, a parallel to literature is in the novel Lord of the Flies. The boys in the novel are first attracted to power, and slowly it starts to consume their souls, finally resulting in the death of several boys on the island, forcing them to forget all morals and values they had at the beginning of their adventure. Overall, Twain's purpose is to show that greed consumes and drives people mad, especially Pap. Back to you, Nick, in the studio.
Thank you, Megan. When Huck Finn encounters his father in Chapter 5 of Mark Twain's classic novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Huck's father, Pap, becomes angry when he finds his son has become civilized. When Pap realizes that Huck can read and write, his anger is only augmented. Twain is satirizing Pap's education, or lack thereof, as well as his uncivilized character. Pap's uncivilized and uneducated manner only magnifies his anger that Huck has become what he has not. Twain uses situational irony to convey thoughts about how uncivilized and uneducated Pap is to the point where he doesn't want Huck to read or write, as well as give in school, so that Huck cannot learn how to sharpen his academic skills. Twain's sympathetic tone towards Huck illustrates how he feels about Pap treating Huck in such a way. However, Twain's optimistic because he knows that Huck can outsmart his father and no longer fear his beatings. Pap is ashamed of his son for being civilized and educated because Pap was never educated and never had the same opportunity that Huck now has. This ties into Twain's use of situational irony because usually a father would be proud of his son for becoming educated and civilized. However, in this case, Pap believes that his son should never surpass his father's accomplishments. If all fathers reasoned as such, society would never progress in a positive direction. In fact, society would deteriorate further and further into total and utter chaos with each generation, because each generation would be discouraged, even threatened not to surpass his parents' undertakings in life. Pap's warped and twisted thought process also leads him to believe that Huck somehow considers himself superior to his father. Pap deduces this wild thought from the fact that Huck is now able to read and write and put on considerable many frills since I, Pap, been away. Pap also states, "I'll take it out of you." Pap has every intention of correcting his son with a cowhide so that Huck learns to respect his father's wishes. It seems that when Pap becomes especially angry, he starts to repeat certain phrases. "I never seen such a son" is one particularly significant phrase that Pab repeats multiple times in the first scene. Pap's repetition of this phrase shows Pap's disbelief in Huck's education and frills. Twain's purpose in satirizing Pap's unorthodox views of education and civilized persons is to show that people with a minimal amount of education do not understand what they are doing is wrong or the ultimate consequences of their decisions. Huck, because he has more education than Pap, has higher moral values than Pap. This concludes our 8 o'clock news. Tune in next time.